Cheers everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to dive into another juicy post in the Neville sub. So let's get into it. This one is called Manifestation Unlocked, the truth about why you're not getting what you want. And as usual, I'm gonna read from this post and then we will discuss it. So, hello everyone, I've been reflecting on why some manifestations feel effortless while others, especially the big ones, seem to take forever. I'd like to share a key insight from Neville's teachings that many of us tend to overlook. You can't manifest something to get it. If your goal is to get something, you're already affirming that you don't have it. And that's the exact state you're stuck in. Neville was very clear about this. In The Power of Awareness, he says, by creating an ideal within your mental sphere, by assuming that you already are that ideal, you identify yourself with it and thereby transform yourself into this image. Notice what he's saying here. You don't imagine to get something, you imagine to become it. This is where most of us get tripped up, especially with big manifestations. When you're trying to manifest a lot of money, a dream job, or everyone's favorite specific person, it's easy to fall into the trap of, I'm going to do SATs, script, affirm for X times, and then I'll get it for sure. But I'm going to say it once again. If you're doing it to get something, you're not being it. Period. Manifestation isn't about making something happen through techniques. It's about internally shifting and transforming your state of being. You don't manifest wealth, you become wealth. You don't manifest love, you become love. Neville was saying it all the time. The outer world is just a mirror of your inner state. So, how do you actually believe in the state affirmed, especially when it feels far away? Here's what's worked for me. So they have 3 steps here. 1, detach from the outcome. Stop needing the manifestation to happen. I know that you all have heard it for 1,000 times by now, but it's really necessary. You've got to stop needing. Besides, you don't really want the manifestation itself. You want the feeling that it's going to give you. Well, guess what? You can get that feeling through the internal shift I'm talking about. And then, as the cherry on top, it's going to manifest in the 3D. Just focus on how you feel in the state of the wish fulfilled. You already fucking have it. What's it like? Feel the freedom, the joy, the peace of already being the person that has it, because if only you make that decision, you instantly become them. 2, make it about your identity, never about the thing itself. And this is a very important distinction. This is why I'm reading this post, because this is so true. Ask yourself, who am I in this state? How do I think, feel, and act as this version of myself? For example, if you're manifesting wealth, stop focusing on the money and start embodying the confidence and security of a wealthy person. This is why I posted that recent video where I talk about how to shift your identity. And I talk about method acting. I talk about how these actors like Christian Bale is able to slip into so many of these states. I mean, when I think about method acting, he is the best example. You also have Heath Ledger in The Joker, but Christian Bale as Batman versus him as the Machinist versus him as American Psycho versus him as any role that he goes into, he's like a completely different person. And if you watch his movies, you will see what it looks like to really become like a chameleon that is able to state shift into these different states like Neville Goddard talks about. I really think if you really want to look for an example of state shifting and what Neville talks about when he's talking about that, you want to watch some of Christian Bale's movies, because everything, his mannerisms, everything is different. It's interesting how, a lot of actors, if you watch like George Clooney, for example, or some of these actors, they always have the same type of little mannerisms, little kinds of movements that they do. But the crazy thing is that Christian Bale looks like a completely different person. And it's just another level of acting is what I'm saying. And that's really what this is. That's what state shifting is. Neville was an actor. Neville was a dancer. He had all these creative things. He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be a famous actor. So what is Neville doing when he's talking about all this stuff? He's talking about really becoming that different version. And Heath Ledger, everyone talks about how he became the Joker so much that, negative things happened and he's not here anymore. But guys, this is it. This is what state shifting is all about. And that's how you actually manifest it. Like they said, it's not about getting the thing. It's about becoming that person who is comfortable with the thing. That person who it's their natural sense, the natural bodily awareness of being that already. I'm going to continue out the post, and hopefully this makes sense by the end of it. So 3, live in the present moment. This is key. Neville teaches that imagination operates in the now. The moment you place your desire in the future, you separate yourself from it. But when you assume it's already yours, you collapse time. And I would actually change this. I would actually change what this person's saying, the wording here, because to me, again, they're missing the mark with this assuming it's yours. I have I think I wrote something here about this. So instead of saying instead of assuming that the thing is yours, I mean, that might be able to work for you, but I would change that to when you assume you already are that person now, like Christian Bale. Become that character. Look at yourself, like I said, look at him in all these different roles. Assume that new character, that new role, like a new suit. So there's not even this awareness that you're playing this character anymore. Your awareness just becomes the character. Put it on, and this is why modeling is so powerful. This is what Neville means when he talks about states. This is what Carl Jung means when he's talking about archetypes. This is it. And this is why it's instant. Because when you take on that new identity, when you take on that new state of consciousness, that's manifestation's instant. You can see instant results. A lot of these bigger things, though, they do take time for the mirror to reflect, or they do take time for the field to bring back the results of you being that new person. All right, so when you assume they've used the language it's already yours, but when you assume you already are it, you collapse time, it becomes real in the present, even though at the moment your assumption can't perceive it with your human senses yet. So to quickly sum it up, Neville's teachings aren't about getting, they are about becoming. If you shift your focus from the external world to the internal ones inside of you, and in there cultivate the state of the wish fulfilled, congratulations. You literally are the person that has all that you desire. It's just a matter of time before you witness the truth behind this statement as it objectifies itself in the 3D. Good luck. So I'm gonna read a couple comments, but I do have, much like the recent video about persisting and how I think we get sometimes some of us miss the mark with that word persist. I know I have in the past before as well. I do think as well with the term wish fulfilled that we kind of get that a little bit off base as well, because we imagine that it's like this marvelous, wondrous thing, and it can be, but a lot of the times it's more of just that natural, neutral state, the feeling of naturalness. And I've talked about this so many times. It's like this scale, super, super excited, super, super depressed. In the middle, you have that person that's just kind of comfortable with it. That person that this is just the reality for them. And I really think the state of the wish fulfilled has a lot to do with cultivating that emotional equilibrium, that neutrality. That is the state. That is that kind of God state, kind of state that is just, and so it is, that type of awareness of having it, that bodily sensation of being, I keep mentioning Christian Bale, but is he, when he's playing the role of Batman, is he all, oh yeah, I'm Batman? Somebody might say that he is. People complain about his voice as Batman, but as far as I'm concerned, he really is just normal for him to be Batman or Bruce Wayne or whatever. Is he, in all of his roles, does he have this kind of like put on performance? Like, no, it just comes across very, very natural. And so that state of the wish fulfilled, people aspire to be these certain things. They aspire to have these certain things. They aspire to be this person. But the irony is that the people that are those things, they're actually just comfortable with it. And there's actually other things about it that, talked about this before too. Like you have this idea, you make this thing so monumentous in your mind, whether it's being rich or having this relationship or whatever. And the people that have those things, it's so normal and natural. And they're actually kind of like another day, maybe they're not complaining about it, but it's not like they're without problems. It's not like the person that's very wealthy is without problems. It's not like they live in this utopian paradise where nothing ever goes wrong ever. It's a kind of misnomer that people have, or the relationship thing as well. It's not like once you have that person, all of a sudden you're going to be living in this magical fairy tale. That's just not true. That's just an immature way of thinking. But if you normalize it and normalize that bodily awareness of what that is, to be that version, to be that person, then that's when you begin to get results. So anyways, last comment here. Here's a slightly different perspective. Instead of imagining to become, you imagine to remind yourself you already are it. You don't need to become because you're already there. It's done. Somebody said this should be printed out and framed. And this coincides with that recent post. I just did that about how affirming is just reminding. It's like, oh yeah, XYZ is true. Oh yeah, I got a date this week. Oh yeah, my money's in the bank account. Oh yeah, I got an extra 10. I made 10 grand this month. You know, just whatever examples, but it's just that casual, again, that casual identifying with being that person. It's not this persisting and like the wish fulfilled, like this big production. I'm not saying, and again, I'm not being dogmatic about this. Of course, you can have these visualization sessions or these sat sessions, or you can get in the mirror and get all, and in fact, I recommend doing that. I recommend rampaging in the mirror, doing these conviction drills to really hype yourself up. But I also recommend this overall looking at the picture, like once I do achieve this thing, or once I have this thing, or once I am this person, that you are comfortable with that. Because by being comfortable with it, that is how you get it. It's like you go into the Gucci store and you've never been in the high-end store and you just feel uncomfortable there. And the shop attendants look at you and they're looking at you like, why is this person in here? You know how they'll like look at you sometimes, like if you feel it, people that don't feel like they belong in a store like that, they'll like look at you and just be like, oh, like, you know, they can tell if you don't feel comfortable there. The same thing goes with the universe. And the same thing goes with any goal that you have. Your SP can tell if you don't feel like you are meant to have them, that you deserve them. Like, yeah, of course you'd be with me. Like, oh yeah, of course we're doing this. The money can tell if you don't feel like you deserve it. The universe can tell if you don't feel natural about it. Okay, guys. Last comment I'll read here, and then we'll wrap this video up. So, thank you. Manifesting is being free from the burden of wanting your desire. It's knowing you can give yourself that desire every time you want to experience it. It's walking in confidence, sorrow-free. If you wait for seeking outside validation, you'll never get it. Give yourself the permission to feel your desires being fulfilled. That's what I talk about, giving it to yourself in the 4D. That is really the only way. We either, to get rid of this energetic pull that has a hold on us, we either have to get the desire in the 3D, give up on the desire completely, or give it to ourselves in the 4D. Those are the only three ways. Otherwise, we will continue to have this like energetic thing that's like this needing, I need this craving, it's an energetic cord of energy between us and this goal. And in order to collapse it, in order to get rid of the tension, you have to do one of those three things. So if you want to manifest it, if you don't want to give up on it or whatever, sometimes when people give up, that's why sometimes people give up and then they get it, right? Because that is what is creating the detachment, by giving up, or by giving it to yourself in the 4D, or by actually manifesting it in the 3D. Your goal is to be free of your desire. Give it to yourself in imagination. There it is right here. Till you don't want it anymore and feel like you already experienced it. Yes, that is what we must do. You can still be excited for the 3D to show it, but till then, imagine and watch the magic happen. You are free to believe and give yourself in imagination whatever. Your doubts don't get you anywhere. They just take away your joy. Allow yourself to be excited and happy that you are in imagination and will be in the 3D. Society conditioned us only to serve doubt because you're being delusional. Well, guess what? Okay. All the people that serve doubt are the most miserable people I've ever met. Okay. And this person says, the living in the present moment is key. Exactly, because when I'm living in the present moment, I don't think about my desires. I'm just in the moment. I feel neutral. Look at these people talking about what I've just been expressing here. Neutral, that word, it's very important. Now I understand that I only need to feel the emotions one time. After that, I should focus on living in the moment. but I still believe effort is required because my mind wanders when I focus on living in the present. So I gently need to bring it back to the present. Yeah, and this is why like spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle, that guy is a G, because if you practice the power of now, if you understand, if you start to absorb what he's telling you there, you'll begin to start living more in the present. And again, all of these things are connected. So, these are all kind of valid things here. I'm starting to get it. Every time when you imagine something, you begin to have different thoughts and feelings, because depending on what you imagine, those beliefs change because the unfamiliar becomes familiar. And if you are it now, that means that like attracts, thus manifestation starts to happen. Yeah, you become familiar. That's what it's all about. Again, familiarizing yourself with it. If you want that Gucci bag, for example, you familiarize yourself with the bag and it becomes more natural automatically just because you're becoming more familiar with it. Okay, so it means that like attracts and thus manifestation starts to happen depending on those self-defined reactions that you can reimagine and change. That is what Neville means when he says surrender to the imagination. If you're being someone else, that person has different beliefs and feelings, but if you're imagining someone else that you want to be, you have those beliefs and feelings. Okay. All right, there's a lot of comments in here. I'm not going to get into all of them into detail, but I do have actually a method actually to practice detachment for whatever it is. It could be money, SP, whatever that you're going for. So I'll probably do a video on that soon. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. It's really a way to do what we're talking about here, to familiarize yourself, but also to detach. And I think it's going to be helpful for people that find themselves in a place where it is hard for them to let go of that craving energy, let go of that very attached energy, that very attached to the outcome type of thing. So that being said, guys, much love as always. Drop this with a like if you found this helpful and interesting, or if you have thoughts on this, drop a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.